Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Angela Hayes podcast, Life with No Limits. I am your host, Angela Hayes. I am streaming in virtually this evening on our episode number 9. And I just want to ask everyone that's coming in on the broadcast that you would chime in the feed. Feel free. This is going to be an open session. Those of you that have questions as we navigate through this podcast, feel free to put your questions in the chat, in your comments, and also tell us where you're tuning in from. I'm excited again for another opportunity to host this podcast here at the Angela Hayes Podcast, Life with No Limits. And we're here to share information, insights, opportunities, and stories from business owners, entrepreneurs, authors, ministers, professionals, and those in our community, being community members, community leaders of all types. I'm your host, and on today's podcast, we will be discussing small businesses and government contracting. So, as your host, I always look for ways that I can add value to you and bring you people, resources, and things that are beneficial to your business, to your life, to whatever goal or aspirations that you are working on. And so we're super excited to be here today. I have a special guest that I would like to welcome. As you can see on the screen, Mr. Sharod Doc Holmes. We welcome you here today. How you doing today, Mr. Holmes?
I'm doing fine. Thank you, Angela. And I'm happy to be here to share some love and spread some information.
Yes, and we're so glad to have you all the way from San Antonio. But, you know, as we move through the podcast, I always kind of like to tell the audience a little about who we have before us. And I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate that I am connected to some awesome, amazing, intelligent people. And I just feel like I need to share it with the world. But before we do that, I want us to go, and before I actually give an official introduction to our guest, we're going to share with you our information upcoming. We do have the 2024 Powerful Journey Women's Conference in McKinney, Texas. The information is at the bottom of the screen. Register. Those of you that are interested in being a part of the conference, you can do me a favor and you can support, because I will be one of the speakers with so many phenomenal women at this conference and doing the book signing of my new book, More Than Meets the Eye. And you can register at www.phyllisjenkins.com. Get your ticket virtually or in person. And so just to see and hear a little bit more about who's going to be at the conference and some of the themes that are going to be a part of that conference, we're going to share this short video with you real quick. Stay tuned. So I just want to give a hand clap to my author sisters that are going to be representing at the conference in April. April the 20th is the date, and we will be making our debut of our books. So God bless everyone that's going to support us in these efforts. So we're going to move along. We're going to the next phase of our podcast. Again, those of you that are joining, whether you're joining on our YouTube channel, Angela Hayes, those of you that have not liked and subscribed, we ask that you would like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are streaming live also on our business page, Unique Foundations Enterprise, and we appreciate your support. Anyone that would like to make a contribution, a donation to this podcast, you can Zelle us at 979-334-2648, or you can Cash App us at Angelia Hayes. And so before I get started with talking to our guest this evening, I want to tell us and tell you all a little about him. It's just a little, that's all.
It's a little bit.
Sharod, and if I say something, just feel free to come back, and if you need to hone in on it, enhance it, just do so. But this is a very impressive bio that we have here. We have Mr. Sharod Holmes is a native of Chicago, Illinois. He graduated from Curie High School in 1981 and attended Wilbur Wright Junior College until 1982. He began his career in the United States Air Force Reserve from October 1982 to September 1984. In October 1984, he entered active duty, where he served 22 years. His assignments included MacDill Air Force Base. Is it FI?
No, AF, Air Force
AF.
Base.
Okay.
Yeah.
From 84 to 93. And then RAF, RAF.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Lakenheath, Royal Air Force, Lakenheath Air Base.
This is somebody who's been around the world, y'all.
That's actually in the UK.
Awesome. Okay, from 93 to 97. Keesler Air Force Base, that's in Mississippi?
Mississippi, yeah.
Awesome. 97 to 2000. And then in
Inserley.
Okay.
Inserley, that's in Turkey.
Okay. In Turkey from 2000 to 2002. And then you have Anderson Air Force Base in Guam from 2002 to 2003. And Randolph Air Force Base in Texas, 2004 to 2005. Wow, it's very extensive.
I did a little bit. I did a little bit.
Yeah, he's been around the world. So, so I'm saying we getting some good people here. After his retiring from the Air Force in 2005, he began working for the Army at Great Plains Regional
Contracting
Office, Fort Sam Houston, which is now Medical Readiness Contracting Office West, where he spent 15 years as the chief of the Healthcare Provider Division. After 38 years of government service, he retired in 2020. Woo woo! Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
And thank you for your service. With his passion for helping small businesses, he started SIHolmes Consulting LLC, and he'll tell us more about that, to continue working with small businesses to provide assistance and training and understanding how to do business with the government. He is married to Michelle Rayford and has 4 children. Well, of course, Michelle Holmes now. Lavondra, Rian, Sharod Jr., and Gerard. His hobbies are golfing, DJing, listening to jazz, and spending time with his 7 grandchildren. His education includes an Associate of Applied Science and Contract Management at the Community College of the Air Force, a Bachelor of Science Occupational Education in Business Administration from Wayland Baptist University, and a Master's of Acquisition Management, American Graduate University. So I believe that that deserves a great round of applause. Thank you, Sharod, for all your expertise, your service, and for all your sacrifices that you have made over the years of your career. And I just appreciate the fact that you're taking what you learned and now you're applying it and coming back to help other people, which you have always been a person that helps people. That's your heart. And I just want to say hello to our fam that's chiming in, Jason Holmes, all the way from Nebraska. Hi, Jason. Thank you for coming in on the broadcast this evening. So,
Hey there,
Sharod,
little brother.
yes, it's an honor to have him on as well. So, Sharod, just that extensive bio, just tell us a little bit more that you want the audience to know about you.
Well, like I said, like the bio said, I've pretty much been all over around the world. I mean, just the places I was stationed doesn't include the places I've traveled to. I've traveled to, I was in the first Gulf War. I was over in Saudi Arabia, and I've probably been to just about every state at one point or another in the United States.
Wow.
Been to Germany, just a lot of other places I've traveled. And the reason I started this business is because I had a passion for what I did, government contracts. And I always was happy to meet with companies and businesses. So I figured whenever I retired, I'm gonna start a little part-time business. I'm not trying to work full-time. This is just something I'm doing at my leisure. And I enjoy working with companies that want to do business with the government, but don't understand it, don't have any clue.
Yeah.
So basically what I do is I go over, I help them, make sure that they have all the pieces to get of the puzzle in the right place and help them understand a lot of the terminology and things to look for trying to do business with government contracts. And, once they are comfortable doing that, if they submit a proposal, they may want, hey, can you look at this to make sure I'm covering all the right bases? That's kind of what I do when I work with the companies. I'm a people person. I like helping people, and that's just what I have a passion for. I've always been that way, since I was a teenager. So.
Yes, and we need more people like you in this world and in the business industry. And I'm so glad that we're talking about this topic because this is something that me myself as a business owner is learning to navigate. So you have had your feet in, and what it is that we need to do, what we need to look for. And so I just want to get started with a few questions that I have. And then anything that you feel free to add to what we're saying here, Sharod, or anything that you think that the audience will benefit from. I want to say to those of you that are listening and those that will listen, I would advise you on this podcast to get out your notebooks and your pens and take copious notes. If you are a small business owner, if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, you may be working, you may be doing your side business. You need this information because you need to understand what it takes to actually do business with the federal government. So I want to get started with our first question, Sharod. Tell us, what is government contracting as it relates to small businesses, and why is it beneficial for small businesses to start navigating this process?
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll go with the latter of the question first. Basically, money for small businesses. Doing business with the government helps small businesses grow. A lot of times I've dealt with so many small businesses where they're just getting started, and I help them navigate through the process. But the bottom line is help them to grow to become a large business till they're no longer small. Okay. So that's basically what the purpose of the government contracts is to support small business and help them grow. The government, they're required to do business with this. There's a certain dollar threshold, and I can't remember right off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But when we do contracts under a certain amount, and I want to say 5 million,
Mhm.
we have to set them aside for small businesses.
Yes.
Everything under that dollar threshold has to go to small businesses. So
Mhm.
we used to look for small businesses so we can support that. I mean, it's mandated
Right.
as far as us supporting small business. So
Mhm.
that's the whole purpose of the small business program. And a lot of this information that you know I'm passing out,
Mhm.
it the main point of contact is your small business administration, wherever you're located.
Mhm.
They can walk you, they'll help you do some of the things that I'm pointing you in the direction that needs to be done. And they're also a source of any questions as far as, different types of certifications you can get, things of that, that's usually what I do is I provide information on different types of sources and
Mhm.
certifications that you can get and how these certifications can help you. And in the process, if you need help obtaining those certifications, that's
Mhm.
where the SBA comes in at.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yeah.
but
Thank
yeah, there's lots of money out there. Everybody thinks the government has deep pockets. I mean, yeah, pretty much they do.
Yeah.
So, you know, why not as a small business
Mhm.
try to get, go after it.
Try to leverage that. And I like that you said that at the beginning, because me and my media team here, we talk about that all the time on the podcast. If you're why are you in business? I mean, number one goal, I mean, is that
Make
you are
profit.
in business to make money.
Make
Absolutely.
profit.
Make a
Mhm.
profit. And so that is one way for us to leverage our certification. So I realize too, Sharod, that is something a lot of people are not, that have small businesses. They're just doing business off the cuff,
Yeah.
been there, done that, what myself. And so not even realizing that this was out there. And
Yeah.
so this is why
Exactly.
they audience, this is why you want to connect to Sharod and connect so you can learn more about navigating this process.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a tedious process, and a lot of small businesses get frustrated going through the process trying to get in the government contracting. The bidding process is what's really tough, and a lot of companies, they get frustrated because they'll submit a bid or a proposal for something that's out there. They'll get
mhm,
frustrated, they don't win, and then
yeah.
I tell them submit as many as you can. You will eventually win one. Once you get in there, then
Mhm.
you understand the process. But
Right.
yeah, don't get frustrated. There's a lot out there.
Yeah. And then with bidding and proposals and things like that, I understand that you may be a small business starting this whole thing new. Instead of being a primary contractor, you may consider being, you want to talk more about maybe consider being a subcontractor.
Subcontractor, yeah, or partnering with another business. You may and what I tend to do is, what I do is if I take on a client and they're new to government contracting,
Mhm.
over the past 20 something years, I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of bigger companies out there. And for some reason, they feel like they owe me a favor when they really don't, because I've actually helped them, grow and become a large business. And I've always stayed in touch. And, some of them will say, Doc, if you know of a company that's trying to get going, we'll mentor them, we'll help them get started. So I have a few connections out there where, once I take on a client, I'll see what they provide,
Mhm.
pair them up with a larger company or another small business that's been doing contracts for the
Mhm.
government for a while, and they'll help them through the process. But
Right.
yeah, that's the best way to get in. You partner, you
Mhm.
subcontract. If you can't win any on your own,
Mhm.
then those are the other two avenues.
Yes, that's awesome.
So
And because it's power and partnership, right?
exactly.
Yeah, instead of us trying to do everything on our own, that's
Mhm.
that's power and partnership. Yeah, so I'm
and,
glad that
and
you're saying that.
and a lot of times the government's requirements are pretty large. So
Mhm.
if it's a really small business that's trying to get started, they may not be able to handle something of that size.
That's true. Yeah.
So the next best thing is to partner with somebody and, pull your resources together to, supply whatever it is they need, and I'm talking anything from supplies, equipment, any type of services, I mean, the government, and we're talking federal government, that's where my expertise, but this also applies to state and local governments as well.
Yes.
So, a lot of things that are out there, don't get frustrated. Just keep going. Yeah. Go to events where maybe you can meet people, go to a lot of socials and things like that. You might meet somebody that's in the same position you are. Y'all team up together and maybe go after some larger contracts, things of that nature. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
And that's pretty much what what I do. I give advice and provide help where I can. And once I get a company to a certain point where they got all the understanding and everything, then hey, that's it. If you need me later on or you got questions, I'm always there, but I can only get you so far.
Yes.
I've had one client that wanted me to, represent their company and go to the different contracting offices here. I'm like, no, that's not my forte. Right. I'm here to get you to a certain point where you can go after contracts for yourself. Yeah. You submit the bids. Yeah. I'm not representing your company to the contracting office. No,
right. Right.
And that's really a conflict of interest on my part because of the position I held before I retired. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I can do behind the scenes to guide a company in the right direction to help them, hit the ground running.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of our small businesses need is guidance,
Yeah.
And like you said, you help, you guide them. You kind of like that mentor in a sense too.
Yes.
And then it's like kind of like a parent.
Yeah. Got to hold their hand a little bit.
So and get them to a certain point. And so then at some point, okay, you got it. But I'm still here in case
you need.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, that's good, audience. I hope that you all are hearing this. I have another question for you, Sharod. So, what are some of the requirements to get started, such as obtaining a business certifications? What are some of the requirements? And then again, we want to emphasize this is federal contracting.
Right.
And Mr. Holmes did mention that there's local opportunities as well as state opportunities, but we're talking federal. So what type of certifications would someone that wanted to get into the federal space that they would need?
Well, basically, once your business is established, there's really only one. There's a website that you'll have to register in order to do business with the government, and that's called SAM, SAM.gov, and you have to be registered in that database in order to do business. But as far as certifications, there's different types of certifications that may give you the upper hand. As far as certain requirements, and I'll touch on some of them here in a minute.
Okay.
But as far as long as you're registered in that SAM.gov's database, and your business, your business is already established,
yes,
then you can compete for different types of requirements that you may see, because that's the same database that where the government posts their requirements of different things they're looking for.
Okay.
So. And and what I always advise companies, just go through there, at least once or twice a week, see if it's anything that looks interesting that you think you can do, and then you go in and you submit a proposal for it. Okay. One of the big things that I highly suggest that a lot of companies do is that the government also posts on that site what's called sources sought notifications.
Okay.
Basically, they'll say, okay, I'm looking for companies that can do this, that, and the other.
Right.
I always highly advise companies, if you're a small business and you think that's something you could do, respond to that notice. That notice will tell you everything you need to send to whoever that company, whoever that requirement goes to. Send that to them. And what that does is they're trying to come up with they're developing a requirement and how they're going to source it. Are they going to? There's several categories under the small business umbrella, and I'll touch on that here in just a second.
Okay.
But they're trying to decide, how are we going to source this requirement? Are we going to set it aside for women-owned, service disabled? There's different ones,
right?
And and while we're on that subject, there's different categories within the small business where the government can say, okay, we're going to take this requirement and we're going to only look for companies that fit this category. You have your disadvantaged veteran-owned small business. Okay. So if it's a veteran out there that has a business and they're service disabled and they have a rating, then if you see something out there that's service disabled, then it's only open to companies that have that certification. And all these certifications are within the small business. And there's a woman-owned category. Right. So if there's requirements out there that's women-owned, if you see that, then it's only open to women-owned small businesses. You have your veteran-owned small businesses, which is different than service disabled. Anybody that's a veteran that, if you served in the military, in the service, and you got an honorable discharge, then you're a veteran. You can register as a veteran-owned. Okay. So that's another category. Then you have what's called 8A certified. And that's a certification through the SBA where that kind of gives you the up on everybody else. Basically what that is, those are 8A are certified, and it's a difficult process to get it, but it can be done. What in that category, there's certain dollar thresholds where the government can do what we call a sole source, where we have a list of companies that are all 8A. Okay, I'm gonna go with this company. I'm gonna, we can pick out that particular company, and then we'll send a requirement to just that one. It's not solicited. It's just going to that one company if they can do it. Now, what I used to do is I had a list of, I was always open to meeting 8A, and I would get visits, for at least 3 or 4 visits a month from different 8A companies wanting to come in and meet with me, give me their capabilities. Right. And I had developed a list. So whenever I got a requirement, I would say, okay, well, I'm going to give this company an opportunity. I know that here's their capabilities. Then I would just reach out to the SBA and say, hey, I want to do an 8A sole source to this company. I'll send a letter, they certify, send it back. Then I would reach out to that company and said, okay, here's what I'm looking for. Here's the RFQ, give me your proposal. So that kind of gives the 8A companies a little advantage because they don't have to compete for everything. They can get sole sourced different things. Same as the women-owned businesses. There's certain items and categories where women-owned companies can get sole sourced, where they don't have to compete. If the contracting office know that you're out there, or the SBA know, and it's a requirement out, say, hey, I want to do a woman-owned, then that's another avenue. The veterans, if you're a service disabled veteran-owned, you can get sole source requirements from the VA. VA supports the veteran-owned and veteran service disabled. Most of their requirements, I think 95% of their requirements have to be veteran-owned or service disabled. So if there's any veteran-owned business out there, the VA is a way to go. They're still a federal government entity. But that would be the way to go because a lot of the requirements are specifically for veteran-owned and service disabled-owned businesses. Okay. Now, there's another category which is it's not used a lot because there's not many businesses, and it's called hub zone, which is historically underutilized businesses. And they're in there, and I don't know if you've heard that term before.
I have,
You have, okay.
So I'm actually hub certified, but I'm not Hub Zone certified.
Okay, yeah, to be a Hub Zone certified, your physical locations for a business would have to be in that area.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of those, but there may be some businesses out there that
Mm-hmm.
are.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's companies out there that may be in that type of zone area and not familiar with it,
yeah,
reach out to the SBA and say, hey, how do I become Hub Zone certified?
Right.
And that's another avenue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And see, there's a distinguishing factor, like you talked about, the Hub Zone versus just being hub
Right.
certified. Because the hub, and I'm saying this for the audience purposes, the hub is state. It is
Right.
statewide. But the Hub Zone, we
It's
still
federal.
dealing with federal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's so many opportunities out there. It's and I can understand companies that just getting started, is trying to understand and go through the process,
Right.
this submitting bids and not getting anything.
Mm-hmm.
I usually give advice on how to, I mean, I don't tell people what to put in their bid or proposal,
Okay.
but I give them pointers on some things to think about when you're putting together your proposal.
Okay.
And then if you like me to review, if you want me to review proposal before you submit it, I only review the technical part.
Okay.
I don't look at your pricing or whatever. I don't get into that. It's your business.
Mm-hmm.
I look at if they say, if the government's proposal says you need to address these items in your technical proposal.
Mm-hmm.
And from experience, I've seen companies that they're way in left field when they're submitting their technical proposal, and I look at it and it's like, nah, they don't get it. So that's where I can come in and I can review it and say, okay, yeah, you adjust this right, you did that right.
Right.
You may need to go back and fix this and fix that, and that's another part of the service that I do with companies that are trying to get going.
Because you already know, since you were on that other side of the spectrum.
On the side, I know what to look for.
You know what to look for. Yeah. And so, so we definitely need you in our businesses. Because that process to navigate is just, it's a whole nother. Yeah.
It can be confusing and it can be frustrating. But like you said earlier, you got that parent there to guide you through it.
Right.
Give you some advice that, okay, maybe you need to look at this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is good information. I hope y'all taking y'all notes out there. So my next question, and you kind of like, you answered it. How can the small businesses leverage their certifications in winning government contracts?
Yep. If you're eligible for those different certifications under the SBA, get them. I highly recommend, if a company is trying to get in to the government contracting, has never done before. My first suggestion was maybe try to partner up with somebody.
Okay.
And it really depends on what your business is offering.
Okay.
For supply type items and certain equipment, that can be done by one company.
So say, for instance, example, supplies. Let's say that there's a contract out there that they're looking for someone that can provide big pens, sticky notes,
office supplies,
office supplies. So you would say a small business owner such as myself, I would be able to probably just go ahead and bid and send the proposal for that. Okay.
Yeah, because that's something simple. That's something. This supplies are pretty simple, cut and dry. This is what we need. We need X amount of quantity. That's easy. Okay. Where it gets difficult is when you start moving up to maybe certain types of equipment, because there are certain equipment that will not allow distributors, or certain companies that will allow distributors. So that's where you'd have to check with that company, say, hey, do you allow distributors? Most companies do. They'll have distributors of their equipment for different types of equipment. Some don't. So, but in that sense, it's still fairly easy for a small
Right.
business to do that,
Yes.
because there's really no how do you say? Well, there is, because when you're trying to purchase equipment for the government, they have certain specifications. It's not detailed specifications. It's
Mm-hmm.
what we call them salient characteristics.
Okay.
I need this piece of equipment to do this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I need this equipment to do. Whereas back years ago, way before my time, the government would have what they call government specs, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard, and that would deter a lot of companies. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
want this to come, I want this equipment to be this, that, and it has to be this, that, and that's why I don't know if anybody remember the movie The Right Stuff.
Yeah. I forgot.
There was a there was a little saying in there after the rocket took off
Mm-hmm.
that we learned it when we went to school and contracting on our last day, but a lot of people, I didn't get it. When the rocket took off, one of the astronauts looks at the other and says, "Man, I can't believe we're sitting on something from the lowest bidder."
Oh wow.
You know,
Okay. Okay.
and you know the things about the $500 hammer and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of that stuff way back in the 80s and 70s and 80s
Mm-hmm.
was to be true, because the government would put so many specifications on there where a company would have to, you know, it would cost them
Mm-hmm.
to get those items to the exact specifications, and
Right.
that was difficult.
Right.
So, you know, through the years they figured out, well, hey, you know what, this ain't gonna work.
Right.
Let's just say we need this piece of equipment to function, the outcome. What do we need it to do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Get away from all the specs. So
Yeah.
that's when it came about, when a lot of companies still think that, you know, the government is always going to go to the lowest bidder, which is not always the
Yeah.
case.
I've
It's
heard
not
that a
always the
lot
case.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that a lot in working in city, that a lot of times, okay, those, say for instance, if someone is coming in on janitorial services,
Right,
okay,
right, right.
the one with the lowest bid. So yeah.
Yeah, and to some extent, for some
Mm-hmm.
items, yeah, that's the case. For supplies and maybe equipment, yes,
Mm-hmm.
they can go to because it's simple.
Right.
You know, I need this piece of equipment. I need it to do this. I need 163,000 pins, or this, that.
Mm-hmm.
Simple. Yeah, of course, that's going to go to the lowest bidder. But
Right.
when you get up to the next level of services,
Yes.
like you said, I need lawn maintenance. My
Mm-hmm.
expertise was medical services and
Okay.
supplies when I was working for the Army. That was my expertise. My section, we did all the staffing for 11 Army hospitals. Yeah, I
Oh.
had I had 10 employees that worked for me, and we had contracts for 11 different Army hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
So we were mostly we didn't do lowest price. We did what we call best value, where
Mm-hmm.
we look at um, what our evaluation terms was. One of the main things we looked at: past performance, how that
Okay.
company did on previous contracts.
Right.
Now, what I did see a lot, that if there was a company that was teaming or partnering with
Mm-hmm.
another company, then I would look at, okay, well, you may not have the past performance, but let's see, what do your partner have? So
Mm-hmm.
that partner would have the experience.
Okay.
See, and that's where the teaming and subcontracting and partnering comes in. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you as a new company may not have that experience when it comes
Right.
to a service,
Mm-hmm.
but you found this other company that just did it before. They have the
Yes.
experience.
Yes.
So work out a partnering agreement, and then it's a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's
But
good.
yeah, and you know, those were the more difficult challenges, was the
Mm-hmm.
services type contracts, because you know a lot of companies that a few clients that I have, that's pretty much what they were in. They wanted to get into the staffing, the medical staffing,
Mm-hmm.
the admin type staffing, which that was my specialty.
Right.
But you know, I'm still familiar with all the aspects because I've done them all. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so you still can help anyone
Yeah.
at that level. So I know you
Mhm.
mentioned about the type of certifications, veteran owned, women
Women
owned.
owned.
Now, I know minority owned is another one. Now, as a minority, can you tell the audience more or less that it's just not restricted, I guess, to one type
Right.
of minority? You know
It's
what
not.
that makes
It's
sense.
not. It's not. When it says minority, it's any ethnic group
Hmm.
minority. I mean, and when you are registering for those certifications, you can have more than one certification.
Hmm.
Like, say for instance, you can have woman owned,
Yes.
you can have minority owned.
Right.
You know, I can register my business as veteran owned, service
Hmm.
disabled veteran owned,
Hmm.
minority.
Right.
So I can register as that. So you can have one more than certification. And yeah, when you say minority, it's not. It's any minority, any
Yes.
minority. But and, again, that's again, you can register for as many certifications.
Yes.
Some are better. Some will help you more than others.
Right.
So, say for instance, for example, you're registered as a woman-owned, minority-owned.
I am.
So, if you're trying to get a contract through the government, your woman-owned
Hmm.
would put you higher up than a minority-owned
Yes.
because there's certain items that the government can sole source to a woman-owned that
Mm.
they can't do to a minority-owned.
Okay. Thank
See
you.
what I mean? So that's one of the reasons you want to get all the certifications you qualify for,
Yes.
because you can use them in different facets.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. That's very important to know.
Mhm.
So we don't, again, the show is Life with No Limits. So we don't have to be limited in
That's
our
right.
businesses. Yeah.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. You get try to accomplish get all the certifications. That just helps you out more.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I believe we really answered our next question. What are the benefits for small businesses engaging with government contracts? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you said
Money.
hey, I
Go
mean,
after the money to grow your business.
right, right,
That
scalability.
that that's the main
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, because what I'm learning too, Sharod, in small business, long are the days is okay. I'm speaking to those that are new in business, aspiring entrepreneurs, and all of that. Long are the days, you're just looking for certain people to support your business. You
Mhm.
and a lot of people have started businesses and gotten discouraged because they think, oh, my family should be supporting my business, um, my friends should be supporting my business, those around me should be supporting my business, but you may be offering a service or a product that those people
Anybody can use. Hmm.
absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. And so the money is there. We do have to do the work
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
public
Yeah.
owners. We do have to make the investments. And I want to say this, and I encourage business owners to invest in your business, invest in your brand, invest in yourself, because you will be
Hmm.
so grateful for that later. And it's going to take some time sitting at people like your feet, Sherrod,
Yep. Yep.
hiring you, becoming, my business mentor, or however you guide, but basically consultant, because that's what
Yeah. Consultant. That because
consult.
that's what I do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So it's going to take that, but it's so worth it, because
Yeah.
now you're not only getting what you need, but you're learning through the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's a never-ending learning process.
it
It's
is.
never ending, because and it really depends on where you want your business to go. You
Hmm.
know, if some people have a business, say, and they're content as to what they're doing,
Right.
then okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
That's fine. Then you don't have to worry about it. But I'm sure there's a lot of new businesses, because when you talk about a new business, they say the small businesses usually fail within the first 5 years or
Years.
so.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, when you say new businesses, we're talking 5 years. Anything
Right.
under 5 years.
Hmm.
So if you're a new business, I'm sure you want to be successful.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
and yeah, and a lot of new businesses, they just don't understand.
Yeah.
They think it's a lot of red tape, which
Right.
it can be.
Yes.
But if you go through the process
Go through the process. Yeah.
and you become successful at it,
Hmm.
In my 15 years working at Fort Sam,
Mm-hmm.
I've had so many companies that came in just starting out. They were small businesses just starting out. One of
Mm-hmm.
the things I asked them, I said, okay, do you have your 8A certification?
Mm-hmm.
No, I looked into it, but it's a long process and this and that. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you know what? I was like, if you go through that process and you get your 8A certification, you
Mm-hmm.
come back to me later on when you
Right.
got it.
Right.
I can set aside and do some sole source things directly to you to help you get going.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you don't, then you're just gonna have to keep bidding.
Right.
So there are plus and minuses to going through that long red tape.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes. And the
there's plus and
operative
minuses.
word, you said that operative word, process. And
Yep,
that's the thing a lot of times in just life in general, we don't want to go through the process. But
exactly.
there's benefits to that,
Yep.
So
And,
yeah. And the thing
and,
about it, people a lot of times because they don't have anybody that they know that they can connect to, like
yeah,
yourself, to help them. And so they shy away from it, they get
yeah.
fearful of it,
Hmm.
and then they don't do anything. Or like you said, with some of those businesses, they just keep repeating that vicious cycle.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's. I think the benefits in the end is worth it. And that's why I still have so many contacts today, even
Hmm.
after I retired. I mean, I have people to come to town. They'll reach out to me and say, "Hey, Doc, I'm in town. Let's meet for lunch and this and that." No problem. I'll meet
Yeah.
for lunch, and then they'll ask me, "Hey, is there any small companies that that
Hmm.
that you know of that we can mentor?" Because that's another program too for small business with up under the Small Business Administration. It's
Hmm.
called the Mentor Protege, where the
Yeah.
larger companies are looking for small
Right.
businesses so they can mentor them.
Hmm. Yes.
So
Yes. Thank you
that's another
for
program
sharing.
that's
Yeah.
well worth it.
You already in the next questions about the
Yeah.
sharing with the the businesses
Well,
about the
they
resources.
all just flow right into each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to reiterate what you said at the top about registering with the SAMS.gov.
Yeah.
So those of you in small businesses, new businesses, as Mr. Sharod has said here today, new businesses classify anyone that's starting out up to 5 years. Go ahead and
Yes, sir.
register on the
Yeah.
www.sam.gov
Sam.gov. Yep.
website. And then you can start, navigating through that website, taking a look at some of the
Yeah.
things that are out
Exactly.
there. Yeah, because again, we know it's going to be a process. And thank you for sharing that also about the mentorship
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
for.
A lot of companies have there's a program under the SBA, Mentor Protege, and
Mhm.
that's that's a good program. And a lot of some of the companies that I've seen come through the program and grow, and now they're mentors.
Mhm.
They'll a lot of times they'll ask me, "Hey, is there any companies that you have any clients that small businesses trying to get that you can refer? We can." And all I do is match. I'll match them up. I'm like, okay,
Right.
we'll do a Zoom meeting or something. We'll have a meeting,
Mhm.
and they'll talk and ask questions, and after that,
Yes.
I'm back
Yeah.
off. Hands
Yeah.
off.
Right.
You guys work it out. If you decide, and I let them know, it's going to be up to you. If you decide to mentor them, I'm
Mhm.
just putting you guys together, you know, and you go from there. And I let the small company know, hey, I'm putting you guys together.
Mhm.
Your presentation to this larger company, that's all on you too. I'm putting you together, doing the introduction, and
Right.
you work it from there.
Yes.
And I've had a few clients that's been successful. They brought them on. I've had
Mhm.
some that didn't.
Mhm.
They dropped the ball and they didn't, they
Right.
didn't
Work
take them
out.
on as mentors.
Work out.
But
Yeah.
th- that's
You a
the whole
business
point.
matchmaker.
Yeah,
Your business
that's the
because I'm thinking about look, people doing this dating matchmaking. Look, you a business matchmaker, and
basically it's
because
what it
it's a
is.
relationship.
Yeah,
It's a
it's exactly
relationship,
what it is.
and
And
then you go ahead.
I really love doing it. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I enjoyed when I retired. I really when COVID started and everybody started working from home, I
Mhm.
had started second thinking. I'm like, well, you know what? I like doing this. My whole thing, I was just tired of getting up going into work.
Let the truth be told. Come on.
I was tired of going to work. But when
Yeah.
everybody started working from home, I'm like, you know what?
Uh-huh.
I might stick around. And I thought about it for like 10 minutes. I'm like, nah, I don't need to. I'm good. I was like, I'll go ahead and retire, start my own little. And that's one of the things, a lot of the companies that I dealt with over the years, you know, when they found out I've started my own little business and they wanted, I'm like, hold on now, look. I said, I'm doing this at my leisure. I'm not trying to get into another full-time job. I'm doing it at my leisure because I enjoy it.
Yeah,
so, you know,
I can tell.
I had this one client, and I guess she gave up. She had been pressing me for about the last 2 years, trying to, you know, Doc, why don't you do this? I could use you. I'm like, sorry, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not doing that.
Right.
I've already got you. I've got you going. Got you established. I paired you up with another company that's willing to take you on. I'm done. I said, I'm here if you got questions or something like that, but I'm not coming to represent you. No, that's not what I'm not trying to do this full time. I'm doing it at my leisure. What part of that did you understand?
You're so valuable.
Yeah, I know, but you know, it's time for me to enjoy me. You know, when my mom retired at 56, I said, you know what? That's what I want to do. Yeah. So, you know, I hung on to another year. 57 hit. I'm like, and I was in a position where I could retire.
Right. Yeah. There you go.
Why not? You know, and I was blessed to be able to retire because I have a lot of advantages that a lot of people that never been in the military, never worked for the government. You know?
Right.
So I'm good.
That's great. I know. I often tease me and a friend of mine. We often tease each other. Had we known what we knew when we were younger, coming out of high school, we would have went to the military for at least for a few years.
Well, you know, the military was the furthest thing from my mind. When I mean, all the recruiters at the high school and everything, I was like, nope, I'm going to college. Nope, leave me alone. I'm not going to the military. I went to college for a year. And I enjoyed it. But around that time, you know, it was a lot of budget cuts back in the early 80s. And it's like, I didn't know if I was going to have money to go again.
Right.
So then I met Shell. Don't tell her that.
Yeah, she would have to have had that effect.
I was like, So then, you know, and then my thing, what really made me decide to join the military is the year after I sat out after college, it was like, you know, I was working little jobs here and there, and, you know, it wasn't really no opportunities in Chicago.
Right.
I was like, you know, I need to do something to get out of Chicago. I got to go. You know, I was already in the reserve. So I said, well, you know what? Let me see if I can go in full active duty.
Awesome. Yeah.
Best decision I made. Never look back.
Obviously, look, 22 years. Yeah. We so appreciative of you doing that. So Sharod, just tell the audience how they can reach out to you, how they can connect with you.
Okay.
Get any information, any social sites, numbers, emails. Feel free.
Well, I'll put my email is let me see. I don't use it. I don't send any emails to myself, so I have to look it up. I got it on my business card.
There you go.
My email is SIHolmes1 at SIHolmesconsulting.com.
Okay, repeat that again.
And it SIHolmes1 at SIHolmesconsulting.com.
And what I'll do, audience, I'll come back after the broadcast and I will make sure that is placed in the comments if you need his email address. What other way can they connect with you, Sharod?
That's it, through email. I don't want any phone. I don't want any phones. I don't have a website because I mean I try to keep it low key. You know, I don't want to. I'm not trying to, because if I decide if I wanted to do this full time, it probably would blow up.
So it will blow up.
Yeah. So I try to keep my clients to a minimum. You know, I don't want a whole bunch of clients. I don't want to get overwhelmed where I got to, you know, do this every day. But, you know, like I said, since I've started and started my business, I've had 5 clients. I got them situated, got them on the ground running, and
Mhm.
you know they're going. One client he's got a few contracts, and he'll
Mhm.
call me every now and then. He may want me to do. I also do a slide training presentation called understanding government contract. Usually when I take on
Right.
a client, that's the first thing I do. I'll give them that training. It's about an
Okay.
hour training, and it goes over a lot of stuff in
Mhm.
detail about government contracting.
Okay.
Uh, and then usually I'm always available when they got
Mhm.
questions. Once I take them on as a client,
Mhm.
I'm there.
They're your
Uh,
client for life.
yeah. And even after, even like I've
Yeah.
got one client I haven't heard from in a couple of years, but I got him to a point where he's doing fine.
Mhm.
But he knows I'm there if you
That's
need it,
great. That's
if you got a
awesome.
question.
Yeah.
But I want to answer a question that's in the
Yes.
comments.
Yes.
Jason has a question.
Mhm.
He was asking, is there a certain amount of time that a business should be in operation before applying for government contracts? And Jason answer that is no. There's no specific amount of time. If
Mhm.
you have been in business 2 or 3 years and you feel comfortable, you register in SAM and you look at some things out there that you feel comfortable you can do.
Mhm.
You can submit a bid for them. There's
Right.
no particular time,
Yeah.
not at all.
Good.
The,
Good.
the only thing that I would say, if you're looking to get a contract for any type of services,
Mhm.
one of the biggest things is experience. They want to see what you've done for whatever that service is before. For example, let's say admin staffing. You
Mhm.
know, the government is looking for 20 admin clerks at a
Mhm.
specific location. Okay. If you've never done that before,
Mhm.
you can submit a proposal, but more than likely you won't be considered because you don't have that experience. And a lot of times they'll say relevant experience.
Mhm.
So if your company and you staff 2 admin clerks, the government is looking for 25 admin clerks.
Right.
Chances are you probably won't get that contract because you've only done 2. So that's where
Mhm.
partnering comes in at. Find
Okay.
somebody else that may have staffed admin
Mhm.
clerks at a certain location.
Mhm.
So, but as far as a specific amount of time for anything,
Yes.
there is. If you feel comfortable, you can do something. Go for it.
Go for it. Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Everybody hear that? Thank you all for joining out there and for your questions. If you have any more questions, please feel free to put them out there and we'll get them over and get them answered for you. I do have one more question before we leave the
Mhm.
broadcast, Rod,
Sure.
because a lot of times I have people watching this broadcast that they they host different events, or they may be people in leadership, whether they're in agencies or what have you. Are you available
For
for
speaking engagements,
speaking engagements?
yes. I actually I wouldn't mind doing speaking engagements. Yeah, and especially on a subject that I know
Yes.
that I love. I actually have I'm an expert witness in a mediation settlement between two government contractors. So
Okay.
yeah.
You can pique
One of
my
the one
curiosity. We'll talk
yeah
about that later.
yeah. They what one company they're bickering over something. And I can't get into the details,
Right.
but one of the companies want me as an expert opinion on as far as my background is concerned, as far as with government contracting.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
matter of fact, I have a meeting with the lawyers tomorrow, a Zoom meeting, and
Hmm.
to go over some more details for that. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm open. I'm open to doing
Okay.
that. I
Okay.
was thinking because they have a locally here in San Antonio, they
Hmm.
have a business mixer. One of my friends, she's
Yeah.
from Chicago. She has one once a month, a business mixer. So I
Hmm.
was thinking about going reaching out to her and say, hey, look, I know there's some business out there that might be interested in government contracts.
Right.
So if you need a speaker, let me know. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I'm open to that.
Okay.
And if you get any questions later, you can always email them to me,
I will.
and
Definitely.
I'll get them answered and send them back to you.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jason, for joining. He said this has been very informative and even inspiring. So
Yeah,
thank you for joining, and those other ones that are watching. And I can't see your comments. I thank you for joining this broadcast. Thank you, Sharod, for
I appreciate it. I enjoy
pouring
it.
out so much valuable information. We would definitely have you back on the
Yeah, yeah.
podcast.
Hey,
Uh,
like I told before I retired, like I told all the folks that work for me and everybody working in my office, I'm like, look, this is 30 some years of knowledge here.
like,
Y'all need to get it, pick my
come
brain before it's
on.
gone.
Yeah, yeah. Look, and look, don't get me started as an author. You might want to start thinking about putting some of this in a book.
You know what? That's something I wouldn't even know where to start. I mean, I've never even thought about a book, but I have like yourself, I have some friends that's written books and everything. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, one
Mm-hmm.
of my employees, she's written books. Matter of fact, she's
How
getting ready
to
to go
book,
on tour for a book signing. And
right?
one of the things she always told me, she said, Doc, when you retire, what you need to do is do a training, a video,
Mm-hmm.
and set up a YouTube account and put it out there. I was like, but me, I'm a procrastinator. You know, I
Yeah,
always like, yeah, I'll do it later. Yeah, I'll do
yeah.
it.
And then I
But
know you already say you want to be doing overwhelmed.
right, yeah, and that's the main thing. I don't want to
Yeah,
be overwhelmed, but
right.
I enjoy sharing my knowledge.
Yes, and
I
we
really
appreciate
enjoy
you
it.
for sharing. Yes, thank you, Sandra. Sandra Hayes. Yes, thanks so much, she says, for the information. Yes. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
again, this is Angela Hayes, your host, and with our special guest, Sharod Holmes. We appreciate you for being here, and thank you once again for your service and all that you're doing to help small businesses scale and grow. Here at the Angela Hayes Podcast, Life with No Limits, where we bring to you information, insights, opportunities, stories to business owners, entrepreneurs, authors, ministers, professionals, and those in our communities. If you have not liked and subscribed our YouTube channel, please do so at Angelia Hayes and follow our business page at Unique Foundations Enterprise. Again, you all have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday evening. God bless.